So we've got this table of values here. Our first column there has select x values, -2, 0, 1, and 4. And this other two columns have values for the function f of x and values for the function g of x. Now, we don't know what type of function f of x is or its equation. Same thing for g of x. We don't know its equation. We might could figure it out. If we look at it, we might could make some deductions there, but we don't need to, okay? They're not wanting us to find equations for f of x and for g of x. They're just wanting us to use the information that we are given to answer these questions. So the first one is we want to find f of g of -2. So we start on the inside. Bless you. That means we're going to start with -2. And I'm gonna write this in a little different way. I kind of got this from the Khan Academy guide, and I think it'll help us. We start with -2. We are plugging -2 into our g of x function, g of -2. All right, so we get that from our table. We start with -2. What's the value for g at -2? 1. Okay, so g of -2 is equal to 1. Now we're taking that answer and we're plugging it into f of x. You start on the inside of your parentheses and work your way out. So -2 went into g. We got our answer. We take that answer, we plug it into f of x. So what is f of 1? 0. Okay, just straight from the table. We go to x equals -1. F of x is the first, or is the middle column, so that value is 0. So f of g of -2 is equal to 0. Okay, the second one that I have up here, it's the exact same thing. Just remember it's that other notation. It's got the circle instead of the parentheses. It's the same thing. We're not going to multiply this whole thing by 0. That is not what that is telling us to do. This is saying find g of f of 0. So we start with 0. We plug it into the f function first on this one. So f of 0 is 4. And then we plug that into our g of x function. So g of 4 is -5. So the answer for g of f of 0 is -5. Okay, f of g of 1. Some of you may not like that notation, so I'm going to show you just a little different notation. I'm plugging 1 into g. So when we plug 1 into g, the result is -2. So g of 1 was -2. And then f of -2 is 8. One more. G of f of 4. What's f of 4 equal to? -4. What's g of -4 equal to? We don't know. They didn't give us that. Okay, cannot be determined. Now, if we had the equation for g of x, sure, we would just plug in -4. If we had the graph of g of x, we could go to x equals -4 and we could get the y value. But we don't have any of those things. So based on the information we're given, we cannot find the value of g of f of 4. Okay, so you may not always be able to solve some of these. Okay, questions about compositions with tables?